The night sky over Montana glowed with an unusual light. John Miller, a local farmer, stepped outside his porch and stared upward, coffee mug in hand. The lights weren't like anything he had seen before. Not planes, not satellites, not even meteor showers. They moved with purpose. "Martha, come look at this," he called to his wife, who joined him moments later. "What on earth?" she whispered. But it wasn't on Earth. Not yet. At NASA's control center, alarm bells rang as radar systems detected multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere. Susan Clark, the night shift supervisor, immediately called her superiors. "Sir, we have at least 12 unknown objects on trajectory for Earth. They're slowing down. This isn't natural debris." Within hours, the president was briefed. Within days, the entire world knew we were not alone. Dr. Alan Foster had been studying potential extraterrestrial communication for 20 years. When the call came at 3 a.m., he didn't hesitate. "They're trying to communicate," he told the emergency committee assembled in Washington. "The signals contain mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the value of pi, basic physical constants. This is deliberate." Lisa Howard, the president's military advisor, wasn't convinced. "Or it's a way to assess our intelligence before they strike." Outside the window, news helicopters circled the Capitol. On every screen across the nation, the same images played. Strange metallic objects hovering miles above major cities. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Cairo. "They haven't made any aggressive moves," Alan argued. "Yet," Lisa replied. She was right to worry. On day 3, the objects suddenly released smaller capsules. Dozens of them, falling toward Earth's surface. The military tracked their descent. Remote locations, wilderness areas, far from population centers. "That's not a coincidence," Lisa said. A team was assembled quickly. Alan would lead the scientific contingent. Lisa would coordinate military response. They needed to know what was in those capsules. The Wyoming site was the first they reached. A crater half a mile wide marked where the capsule had landed. The object itself sat in the center, 20 feet tall, metallic, with strange symbols etched into its surface. "Set up a perimeter," Lisa ordered the soldiers. "Nobody touches anything until we understand what we're dealing with." Alan approached the capsule carefully, instruments in hand. "It's cooling rapidly. Whatever propulsion system they used, it's shutting down." "Is it a bomb?" someone asked. Alan shook his head. "The energy signature is all wrong. It's containing something." As night fell, they established a base camp around the crater. Scientists worked in shifts, scanning the capsule, trying to make sense of its purpose. Military personnel patrolled the perimeter, weapons ready. Just before dawn, Alan's equipment detected a change. "There's movement inside," he said, voice tense, "and the outer shell is starting to. I think it's opening." Lisa immediately ordered everyone back. "Full containment protocol. Get the hazmat team ready." The capsule's surface began to shift, panels sliding apart with mechanical precision. A cold mist poured out, spreading across the crater floor. "Thermal signature rising," one of the technicians reported. "Something's waking up in there." Alan stared at his readings in disbelief. "It's biological. Whatever they sent, it's alive." The first glimpse they got was of a massive clawed limb emerging from the mist. Then another. Then a head, predatory, with rows of teeth and multiple eyes that gleamed with intelligence. "My God," Alan whispered. Lisa was already on her radio. "All units, defensive positions. We have contact." As the creature fully emerged, standing nearly 15 feet tall, reports began coming in from around the world. Every capsule was opening. Every one contained the same type of creature. The invasion had begun. The military established a 2-mile perimeter around the Wyoming crater within hours. Green tents dotted the landscape as scientists and soldiers worked to understand the creature now contained behind 3 layers of reinforced barriers. Dr. Olivia Martinez arrived on the second day, bringing specialized equipment from her lab at Johns Hopkins. A biologist with expertise in predatory animals, she approached the makeshift containment facility with both excitement and dread. "Has it eaten anything?" she asked Alan as they watched the creature pace behind the barrier walls. "It rejected everything we offered. But it's studying us. Look at the way it tracks movement." The creature stood nearly 15 feet tall on powerful hind legs. Its skin was a mottled gray-green with odd patches that seemed to shift color slightly to match its surroundings. 6 eyes were arranged around its elongated head, allowing for almost complete visual coverage. "This isn't a natural animal," Olivia said after her first examination. "The neural structure is too complex. The muscle density exceeds anything on Earth. This was engineered." Captain Steve Edwards, head of security, frowned. "Engineered for what?" "War," Lisa Howard said flatly. "It's a weapon." The creature had remained surprisingly calm during its first day of captivity. But as night fell on the second day, its behavior changed. It began testing different sections of the barrier, pushing with increasing force. "I don't like this," Steve said, watching the security feeds. "Double the guards tonight." At 3:17 a.m., alarms blared throughout the base. The creature had somehow punched through the first barrier layer. "How is that possible?" Lisa demanded, rushing to the control room. That barrier was rated to stop armor-piercing rounds. On the monitors, they watched in horror as the creature systematically attacked the second barrier. Guards fired tranquilizer darts, but they barely penetrated the creature's hide. "Switch to live ammunition," Steve ordered. Bullets hit the creature, drawing dark blue blood, but it barely slowed. With a terrible screech, it tore through the second barrier. "Evacuate non-essential personnel," Lisa commanded. "Get the scientists out first." Ellen refused to leave. "We need to understand what we're dealing with." The final barrier lasted only minutes. As it failed, Steve and his team formed a defensive line, firing continuously at the advancing creature. It moved with shocking speed, leaping over the first line of soldiers and tearing through their ranks. "Fall back to the vehicles," Steve shouted. Olivia grabbed her research samples and ran toward the waiting helicopters. Ellen followed close behind, carrying hard drives with their initial findings. Behind them, screams and gunfire echoed across the base. "What about the other sites?" Ellen asked as they climbed aboard. Lisa's face was grim. "We're getting reports of containment failures worldwide. Moscow's site was breached 3 hours ago. Beijing just lost contact with their team." The helicopter lifted off just as the creature burst into the clearing. It looked up at them, its eyes tracking the aircraft with unmistakable intelligence, before turning to pursue fleeing soldiers. "It's learning," Olivia whispered. "Look how it prioritizes targets." Back at the Emergency Command Center in Denver, reports flooded in from around the world. Satellite imagery showed all 12 capsule sites had been breached. The creatures were on the move, heading toward populated areas. "They're establishing territories," Olivia explained, reviewing the tracking data. "And they're expanding them methodically." "Can we kill them?" Lisa asked bluntly. Alan shook his head. The Wyoming specimen took direct hits from .50 caliber rounds. It was wounded but kept fighting. "And there's something else," Olivia added. "The satellite imagery shows they're communicating with each other. These aren't just animals. They're coordinating." As night fell across America, the first reports came in of attacks on small towns near the landing sites. The creatures moved primarily under cover of darkness, displaying tactical awareness that terrified military observers. The invasion had only just begun, and humanity was already losing. 1 week after the containment breaches, America changed. Rural towns near landing sites stood empty. Highways clogged with refugees. Military checkpoints appeared around major cities as the government struggled to maintain order. From the temporary command center in Denver, Lisa Howard watched the disaster unfold on multiple screens. Red dots marked confirmed creature sightings. There were too many to count now. "Sir, "We've lost contact with the outpost near Casper," a young lieutenant reported. "That's the third this morning," Lisa said, rubbing her tired eyes. Alan Foster entered the room, carrying a tablet with new data. His normally neat appearance had given way to rumpled clothes and a 3-day beard. "The creatures are expanding their territories faster than we predicted," he said, displaying a map. "They're moving in patterns. This isn't random." Lisa nodded grimly. "They're hunting us." At the research lab 2 floors below, Olivia Martinez worked with blood samples taken from a creature killed in Idaho. It had taken an entire tank battalion to bring it down. "There's something strange about the cellular structure," she told Jack Bennett, the biochemist assigned to her team. "These creatures weren't just engineered for combat. They were designed specifically for Earth." "What do you mean?" Jack asked. "Their biology is adapted to our gravity, our atmosphere, our day-night cycle. Whoever made them studied Earth very carefully." The intercom buzzed. "Dr. Martinez, please report to the Situation Room. We have new satellite imagery." Upstairs, the command staff gathered around the main display. Fresh images showed more objects entering Earth's atmosphere, larger than the first wave, moving more deliberately. "Are those ships?" someone asked. Alan nodded. "They're matching orbit with our satellite network. I think they're watching." "Watching what?" "They're creatures destroying us." Lisa's voice was bitter. "Watching how we respond," Olivia suggested. "This could be a test." The room fell silent as they considered the implications. 3 days later, the first major counterattack began. Outside Denver, the military had assembled an unprecedented force: tanks, artillery, aircraft, and special forces units equipped with experimental weapons. "We've identified what appears to be a nest," General Frank Wilson explained during the briefing. "At least 6 creatures are using an abandoned quarry as a base. We're going to hit them with everything we have." The attack began at dawn. Helicopter footage showed the initial artillery strikes hitting the quarry with devastating force. For a moment, it seemed to work. Then the creatures emerged from hidden tunnels below the quarry floor. They moved with terrible coordination, splitting into pairs that flanked the advancing forces. They dug those tunnels, Lisa realized, watching in horror. They prepared for this. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the military had lost over 60% of its forces. 3 creatures were confirmed dead, but the others disappeared into the wilderness. That evening, Alan made a discovery that changed everything. "I've been analyzing tissue samples from the dead creatures," he told the emergency council. "They contain trace elements that match exactly with the composition of the orbiting ships." "What does that mean?" General Wilson asked. "It means they're connected," Olivia explained. "The creatures aren't just weapons. They're advanced troops. Biological scouts preparing for the main invasion force." As if confirming her theory, reports came in of more alien vessels entering Earth orbit, dozens now, perhaps hundreds. "We need a new strategy," Lisa said. "Conventional warfare isn't working." Alan nodded, his expression grim but determined. "We need to understand these creatures better than their creators do. Find weaknesses they didn't anticipate. And we need to do it fast," Olivia added, looking at the satellite imagery of the growing alien fleet. "Because I think the real invasion hasn't even started yet." Outside the secure facility, the night sky glowed with unnatural lights as more alien ships took position above Earth. 3 weeks into the invasion, the first signs of hope emerged from an unlikely source. At a forward observation post near what remained of Boise, Idaho, soldiers noticed something strange about one of the creatures. "It keeps stopping to shake its head," Lieutenant Carol Weber reported over the secure line. "And there's some kind of discharge from its eyes." Back at the Denver Command Center, Olivia Martinez reviewed the footage with growing excitement. "It's sick," she said, turning to Alan. "The creature is showing signs of illness." Similar reports began coming in from other regions. In Georgia, a creature was found dead with no sign of human intervention. In Oregon, Another moved sluggishly, making tactical errors that allowed a militia group to wound it. Earth is fighting back, Olivia explained to the military council. These creatures were engineered for our planet, but they couldn't possibly be prepared for all our microbes, bacteria, and viruses. Jack Bennett nodded enthusiastically. It's like the War of the Worlds scenario. They never considered that Earth's microscopic life would be their biggest enemy. For the first time in weeks, Lisa Howard allowed herself a small smile. So we just need to stay alive long enough for germs to do our fighting for us. Not exactly, Olivia cautioned. Only some of the creatures are affected. The aliens clearly tried to prepare them, but they missed things. We need to understand exactly what's harming them and amplify it. Meanwhile, on the battlefields across America, humans were learning to fight back. Near the ruins of Chicago, former police officer Greg Davis led a group of survivors who developed effective guerrilla tactics against the creatures. They're smart, but they're predictable, Greg explained over the military radio. They always go for the largest threat first. So we create distractions, then hit them from behind with everything we've got. His team had successfully defended the Chicago water treatment plant against 3 creatures, killing one and driving the others away. It was the first major defensive victory since the invasion began. The military quickly adapted these tactics. Small, mobile teams replaced large force deployments. Civilians were trained to create diversions while special forces delivered precision strikes at vulnerable points Olivia's team had identified. The creatures' joint connections and sensory organs. Their eyes are particularly sensitive to ultraviolet light, Olivia reported after examining a recently killed specimen. And they communicate using subsonic frequencies we can't hear. Ellen seized on this information. Working with audio engineers, he developed a device that disrupted these frequencies, confusing the creatures and breaking their coordinated hunting patterns. It's like turning off their radios during battle, he explained during a test demonstration. When activated near a creature, the beast became visibly disoriented, attacking shadows and eventually retreating in confusion. For the first time, humanity had effective weapons. In orbit, the alien ships remained passive, merely observing. But analysts noted changes in their positions. They're pulling back slightly, Lisa reported, maintaining higher orbits than before. I think they're reassessing. Confirmation came unexpectedly. A research team in Nevada detected faint transmissions between the orbiting vessels and the creatures. Allen's linguistics team worked day and night to decipher the alien communication. We can't understand the language yet, he told the council. But the pattern suggests questions and responses. They're asking the creatures for status reports. Olivia looked thoughtful. And they can't be happy with what they're hearing. Beyond the command center windows, Denver's skyline remained intact, one of the few major cities still holding against the invasion. Newly installed defense batteries pointed skyward, ready for the next phase of the war. The aliens made a mistake, Lisa said, studying the latest battle reports. They thought these creatures would make short work of us. They didn't expect us to adapt so quickly, or for Earth itself to become our ally, Olivia added. They chose the wrong planet to invade. The breakthrough came on day 32 of the invasion. In a makeshift lab at the Denver Command Center, Jack Bennett burst into the senior staff meeting, waving a tablet. "We've done it," he exclaimed, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "We've cracked their basic communication protocols." Ellen and Olivia exchanged hopeful glances as Jack connected his tablet to the main screen. Strange symbols appeared, shifting and reorganizing into patterns. "It's not a full translation," Jack explained, "but we can interpret the general meaning. Their language works on mathematical principles rather than phonetics." Lisa Howard leaned forward. "Can we communicate with them?" "Better," Allen said, studying the data. "We can listen in on their communications with the creatures, maybe even interfere with their commands." Within hours, the best cryptographers and linguists in the country were working on the project. What they discovered sent a wave of excitement through the command center. They call themselves the Vordax, Ellen reported the next morning. And the creatures are called harvesters. They're bioengineered weapons deployed to clear planets before colonization. Clear planets? Lisa asked. You mean exterminate the inhabitants? Exactly. But here's the interesting part. The Vordax are expressing confusion about the harvesters' performance. They expected Earth to be pacified within 2 weeks. Olivia nodded thoughtfully. They underestimated us, classified us incorrectly. The intercepted communications revealed something else. The Vordax had no intention of landing until the harvesters completed their mission. They remained in orbit, growing increasingly concerned about the unexpected resistance. Meanwhile, Greg Davis and his Chicago Defense Force achieved another significant victory. Using the new sonic disruption devices, they managed to capture a juvenile harvester alive. It was separated from the others, Greg reported over video link. The sonic weapons disoriented it enough that we could trap it without casualties. The creature was transported to the secure facility in Denver, where Olivia led a team conducting the first comprehensive study of a living specimen. Its biology is fascinating, she told the council. The harvesters have been specifically engineered to process Earth biomass, humans, animals, plants, into resources for the Vordax. But they're struggling with our environment in ways their creators didn't anticipate. Lisa saw the opportunity immediately. If we can identify what's affecting them negatively, can we weaponize it? We already have, Jack said with grim satisfaction. We've isolated 3 Earth pathogens that the harvesters have no defense against. Their immune systems simply don't recognize them as threats. The plan formed quickly. Using repurposed crop dusting aircraft, military forces began deploying the biological agent in areas with high harvester activity. The results exceeded all expectations. Within days, harvester movements slowed dramatically. Intercepted communications revealed growing alarm among the Vordax. They're panicking, Allen reported, reviewing the latest translations. The harvesters are dying faster than they can adapt. The Vordax response was immediate and violent. Orbital strikes targeted key military installations across North America, Europe, and Asia. The command center in Denver shook as nearby strikes hit military targets. They're trying to eliminate our ability to produce and deploy the biological agent, Lisa said, studying damage reports. But the attacks revealed something crucial. The Vordax capabilities had limits. Their orbital weapons weren't designed for prolonged engagement. Greg Davis, now promoted to colonel, led the counteroffensive. Using previously hidden anti-satellite weapons, Earth forces struck back at the Vordax vessels, damaging several and forcing the fleet to retreat to higher orbit. We've pushed them back, Greg reported, but they'll regroup and try again. In the lab, Olivia made one final discovery that would change the course of the war. The harvesters communicate with the Vordax ships using biological transmitters in their brains, she explained. If we can hijack that signal, Aylin finished her thought, we can speak directly to the Vordax. Maybe even convince them this invasion was a mistake. For the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible. The captured harvester died on the 45th day of the invasion. Its massive body lay on the reinforced examination table as Olivia Martinez performed the final autopsy, her movements precise despite her exhaustion. The pathogen worked even faster than we predicted, she told Allen, who watched from behind a safety barrier. Its neural tissue shows complete breakdown of the communication centers. Allen nodded, studying the data on his tablet. And the others in the wild. Satellite imagery shows at least 60% of the harvesters are now exhibiting symptoms. The rest are retreating to higher elevations, trying to escape the pathogen. But it won't help them. Outside the research facility, Denver had become the heart of Earth's resistance. Military vehicles moved through streets now lined with defensive barriers. Civilians worked alongside soldiers, preparing for what everyone knew would be the Vordax's desperate final assault. In the command center, Lisa Howard and Greg Davis studied holographic maps showing harvester movements worldwide. They're consolidating, Greg noted, gathering in larger groups instead of hunting. Lisa frowned. Defensive behavior. They know they're vulnerable. The intercom crackled. General Howard, we're detecting energy spikes from the Vordax fleet. Multiple vessels changing position. Here it comes, Lisa said grimly. Their final push. The first attacks targeted communication centers and power grids. Cities that had survived the Harvester attacks now faced precision strikes from orbit. But humanity wasn't defenseless anymore. Hidden installations around the globe activated, revealing weapon systems that had been secretly developed after studying the Vordax technology. Energy shields flickered to life over key cities. Return fire lanced upward, striking Vordax vessels with surprising accuracy. The neural transmitter from the dead Harvester, Alan explained as Lisa watched the counterattack with amazement. We reverse-engineered it to target their ship's communication systems. On the main screen, a Vordax vessel erupted in blue flame as Earth's defenses hit something critical. The ship didn't explode. Instead, it drifted out of formation, its engines dark. We've disabled one, Greg reported, excitement in his voice. Not destroyed, but definitely out of the fight. More followed. The Vordax weapons were powerful, but designed for targeted strikes, not sustained warfare. As their attacks continued, vulnerabilities appeared in their defenses. Meanwhile, on the ground, the final phase of Olivia's plan began. Using modified drones, Earth forces deployed the enhanced pathogen directly at remaining Harvester concentrations. The creatures, already weakened, began dying in massive numbers. The Vordax are sending new commands to the remaining Harvesters, Alan reported, monitoring the intercepted communications. They're ordering them to self-destruct. Can they do that? Lisa asked. The Harvesters have genetic kill switches built into their DNA. The Vordax are activating them rather than letting us capture more specimens. In research labs across the planet, scientists worked frantically to analyze everything they could from the dying Harvesters. Each specimen provided new insights into Vordax technology and biology. By sunset, satellite imagery showed a dramatic change. Harvester corpses littered landscapes worldwide. Those few that remained moved erratically, clearly dying. In orbit, the Vordax fleet had pulled back, forming a defensive perimeter on the far side of the moon. 7 of their vessels drifted powerless, damaged by Earth's counterattack. They're reassessing, Lisa said, calculating whether to commit more resources or cut their losses. Helen studied the latest intercepted communications. I think we shocked them. They expected an easy conquest. Instead, they've lost valuable bioweapons and ships. In the lab, Olivia made one final discovery. The Harvesters weren't just dying from our pathogen. Earth's natural microbiome was attacking them on multiple fronts. Their designers couldn't possibly have protected them against all our planet's defenses. Greg smiled for the first time in weeks. So Earth itself rejected them. Exactly, Olivia said. And the Vordax know it now. They miscalculated entirely. As night fell, the command staff gathered to watch the main monitor. The Vordax fleet was moving, but not toward Earth. They're leaving, Alan whispered in disbelief. They're actually retreating. The war wasn't over, but the turning point had arrived. Humanity had survived the first wave, and the Vordax were running out of options. The morning dawned clear and cold over what remained of Denver. 52 days since the first Harvester capsules landed on Earth. 52 days that had changed humanity forever. Alan Foster stood at the command center window, watching military convoys move through the streets below. The city buzzed with activity, but a different kind now. Rebuilding rather than preparing for battle. They're really gone, he asked, not turning as Lisa Howard entered the room. The last Vordax ship left our solar system 3 hours ago, she confirmed. Long-range tracking shows them moving at incredible speed. They can't wait to get away from us. Alan smiled faintly. Can't blame them. We weren't what they expected. The final communication from the Vordax had arrived yesterday. After weeks of decoding their language, Earth's scientists had managed to establish direct contact. The message was brief but clear. "We have made a significant error in classification," Alan read aloud from the translated text. "Humans were categorized as Threat Level 2, suitable for standard harvesting protocols. This assessment was incorrect." "Threat Level 2, Lisa repeated. "I wonder what we are now." "Something they don't want to mess with," Greg Davis said, joining them. His left arm was in a sling, a souvenir from the Battle of Chicago. "The important thing is they're spreading the word." Satellite imagery had confirmed it. Before departing, the Vordax had placed warning beacons at the edge of the solar system. The beacons broadcast continuously in multiple frequencies, warning other species to avoid Earth. In the research lab downstairs, Olivia Martinez supervised the final disposal of harvester specimens. Every piece of biological material was being thoroughly studied, then destroyed under strict containment protocols. "We got lucky," she told Jack as they sealed the last container. "If the Vordax had sent a different type of bioweapon, something microscopic instead of those monsters, we might not have survived." "Not luck," Jack corrected her. "Evolution. Earth's biosphere has been developing defenses for billions of years. The Vordax just didn't do their homework." Across the planet, recovery efforts continued. The final count was grim. 37 major cities damaged, millions of casualties, ecosystems disrupted by both the harvesters and humanity's desperate defense measures. But there were unexpected benefits. The invasion had united Earth's nations in unprecedented ways. Old conflicts seemed petty in the face of extinction. Resources previously dedicated to fighting each other were now focused on rebuilding and preparing for future threats. In what remained of the White House, the president addressed a global audience. "Today marks not just the end of this conflict, but the beginning of a new era for humanity. We have faced extinction and survived. We have proven our resilience not just to ourselves, but to the stars. And we will be ready if threats return." The speech was broadcast worldwide, translated into every language. For once, the entire human race shared the same emotion, cautious relief mixed with determination. Back in Denver, Alan found Olivia in the memorial garden planted outside the command center. Small stone markers represented those lost in the defense of the facility. "The president approved our proposal," he told her. "The Earth Defense Initiative starts next month. You'll head the Biological Research Division." Olivia nodded, touching one of the memorial stones gently. "And you?" "Communications and detection. Greg will command the new Unified Space Force. We're converting the Vordax beacons to serve our purposes, early warning systems." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant orange and red. In orbit above them, the first of Earth's new defensive satellites took position, its sensors scanning deep space. "Do you think they'll come back?" Olivia finally asked. "The Vordax or others like them?" Ellen considered the question carefully. "I think they'd be fools to try. But if they do, we'll be ready," she finished. As darkness fell, lights came on across Denver and across the world. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger. The stars no longer seemed quite so welcoming, but neither were they as terrifying. Earth had proven itself a dangerous place to invade, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice.